I am Mendus, and I'm creating a game using SIG and Match Engine, Match Core indeed. And this is, I hope, and I say I hope because I never did it before, the start of a video log series about the development of the game. I am already passing the 3-month mark on the development, and I wanted to start show you what I'm doing and what I'm learning. So first, a little bit of context. The game is based on a game that I created in 2008. It is a mod of an Argentinian game called Arduz Online. It was created in Visual Basic 6, so it is quite old. The mod indeed is a decentralized version of the original game. As you can see, it is literally made on Microsoft Paint, and it is a PvP intense game. So the original version is a role-playing game. If you play role on tables and things, it resembles that. But the modification called Arduz is entirely focused on the PvP part of it. So the main difference is that instead of people joining one huge RPG server, people can create their own games, their own servers, like in Counter-Strike, if they want. So this video is from 12 years ago. There are several maps with a top-down view and a lot of PvP. Okay, enough of that. So I don't have Microsoft Paint, so I created a script that converted every resource into a sprite. The original game used to have these indexing files that look something like inis. I don't have them at hand right now, but I passed all of the resources through this conversion script, and what I have now are usable sprite files that I can tweak as needed. And since a long time passed since 2002, when this was originally released on DirectX 7 using DirectDraw, now we can use normal maps to generate some lighting, because we're not building pixels on the screen anymore. So I created a little art pipeline that uses folders or groups in Sprite to separate the diffuse channel from the normal channel. And you can have also other channels for debugging that are not included in the final resource. After this stage of Sprite, what I do is to create slices, lots of slices per file, using a prefix number that is the number that is going to identify the sprite on the atlases later on. And I leverage some interesting features from Sprite. For example, on the slices you can set up a pivot point. In this case is 16 x and y, and I use that to center all the sprites on the screen. Then when I need to render this, that exact point will mark the 0, 0 of the sprite on the screen. So in the case of the mouse cursors, I can use it to point the hot zone of the cursor. And on 9 slices, also a sprite has this configuration saying that, okay, this slice is going to be a 9 slice configuration. And I use those numbers to later on render the UI as well. Another interesting thing about this art pipeline is that now the bodies, for example, I set up the animations directly on iSprite, and the configuration, the importer later creates everything to make it work, and that's pretty much it. This other point here is called the meta offset, for a lack of a better name. I don't know what meta means. And it says where the head is going to be attached to. Of course, this can change. In this particular case, it doesn't, but this can change from one frame to the other. So if the body is bouncing around because of the movement of the animation, so as do the head. And lastly, I'm going to show one head, now that we are talking about that. This is one head, and the head as well has a meta offset, symbolizes the point of the cloth or the body in which it is going to be attached to. That's pretty much it. Of course, we do have the same animation tags for the head. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the game itself. So the idea of this game is exactly the same as the one I originally modded. I don't have time to deal with the complexities of hosting huge servers with all the attacks and with all the infrastructure and retaining the state. It is really complex. So in this modification, well, this reborn of the game, everything is like in Counter-Strike. You can create a server, you have your list of friends, and you can invite them or they can join your game. And this uses Steam, so these are my Steam friends, and if one of them happen to be playing the game, it will go to show up here, and they of course can see that I am creating a lobby. Right now I am the only member of the lobby, and boom, I can create the server. Of course, after the server is created, they can join, but I'm still figuring out how to keep the server turned on when you leave the game with a configuration, so you can run the server for your friends or for your clan without needing to be in there. In other words, how to create a dedicated server. So this is very raw right now. There are classes, warrior, mage, bard, and races, dwarf, human, elf, and teams, because we want to resemble the PvP part of the original game. So these bots are very dumb. They only follow each other, and they follow people from a different team, prioritizing non-bots. So the green team is following me, and the blue team is following the green team. And that's pretty much it. Okay, now to the game itself. A lot of people created mods of this game, and a lot of those mods failed because they tried to change the core mechanics of the game. So one of those core mechanics is that you cannot have many shortcuts, and the abilities and the inventory need to be physically separated. With all this space, we are no longer using 18 by 1600. No, sorry, I forgot how to English, 800 by 600 displays, we could use a lot of this screen real estate to render both the abilities and the inventory in the same place. But if you are dying, you need to drink the potions, and you can either drink the potions using the U of use item, the U key, or double clicking, or both. And those are two different intervals, so you can clicking the U and double clicking the item, and that will increase your health way faster. But while you are doing that, and this resembles the hands, you cannot do a different thing. So the attack key is the left control, is very far away from the U, so you couldn't attack while you're drinking potions. And of course you cannot use abilities, but you can cast an ability. For example, Apocalypse. You can cast the spell, come here, drink the potions to restore a little bit of your life, drink the potions to restore a bit of mana, because otherwise you couldn't, if the mana is in the half, you cannot use the Apocalypse spell or ability. And when you're ready, or when they stop attacking you and you start drinking the health potions, you can cast the spell. And of course it reduces the mana, and you need to drink more mana to increase it back again. And that's it. That's all the mechanics of the game. Of course, if you are a newcomer, you can easily cast the spells and play with people, but and without failing. But there is a step function for. No, it is not a step function. It is more like linear complexity, and as you gain more ability in this entire play of changing the tabs and casting the spell and using one or other ability, playing against you is increasingly more difficult. Of course, you can equip all the items, and that changes the stats of the game. So the defense and the attack points. And since this is based out of Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons or something like that, the server really uses dice rolling for a lot of things. The way the original game was coded was a turn-based game, but at a very high pace. So the server has this tick. Well, I think yes. Now that I know how things work, that's how every server works, mostly. But yeah, enough talking. In a couple days, I'm planning to rework the lighting, and I will make a video about that, because this lighting is very near to physical lighting. It is using normal maps and a G buffer, like in a 3D environment, and a depth buffer and a position buffer to know where every pixel is on the 3D space, and of course the diffuse map. I'm planning to rework the lights because this is very pixel art style, and having these smooth transitions is not playing well, I think. I mean, the lighting is super nice to have. Look at that. You can change the hue, saturation, and radius of the light very easily. But probably we should have like step dimming zones, like in cel shading, to make it aesthetically a little bit more pleasant and cohesive. And also I'm planning to remove the normal maps from the characters. So it is okay for props and for the environment, but for characters is probably not so good, because those are automatically generated. We can see that in here how it looks. This is a sprite script that creates this normal map, but it is not very high quality, like when you export something from an asset pack in Blender. Items, miscellaneous, dungeon. Look at this. This is really high quality normal mapping, and this is a lower quality one, which is closest to the generated one. But if this one would be generated, it would only be the border, not this 3D representation right here. Okay, and another interesting thing was the projection of this engine. So to recreate this top-down aesthetic and the depth, I had two options: either consume all the CPU resorting every sprite before rendering all the time, or using the depth buffer. And I'm using the later, the depth buffer. So as every game, mostly right now, this 2D game is actually a 3D game, but I had to manually tweak the projection matrix, the view matrix indeed, to elevate on the y-axis the same amount that the z-axis is upwards. So the projection of this game is 0, 0 is on the top left corner, and x grows to the right and y grows to the bottom, and z grows to the top, like in the lighting. If we change the z coordinate here, it grows upwards, and if we change the y coordinate, it grows downwards, and x is the only natural one. And y is also natural. So tweaking this matrix also allows to transform the whole thing into a kind of isometric view, which is interesting, an interesting side effect, but it is not the intended view of the game. But this is really useful to debug the lights, for example, because lights operate on a 3D environment, and they calculate distances and dot products against the normal maps. So it is really useful to know how things are represented in 3 dimensions. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for a first video. Yeah, that should be it. If you want to take a look at some parts of this of some parts that I've been helping to create this game, we have the protocol buffers library for SIG from the friend Arwok. So I contributed the code generation part for this library and the bootstrapping part. So protocol buffers use protocol buffers to create plugins for the compiler in order to create the final code that you are generating. So that is bootstrapping like in compilers. So we had to bootstrap this entire thing. That was super interesting. I started to learn C creating this. So take a look at this library. And also to leverage all the Steam networking, I created the SIG Steamworks library that you can use to interface with Steam, get your friends, get your username, tickets to authenticate against our servers, and of course the networking. Okay, I think we can call it. Thank you.